Okay, it says I'm live. I'm going to check and make sure it's not lying to me. Starting just a touch early because we know nothing ever fucks up around here, right? Uh-oh. Oh, that would help. Yay, everything seems to be working correctly. Today is 24 March 2022, and of course, this is The Shit Show. You know, someday I'm actually going to be rich and famous and have a studio to do this. No, that's never going to happen. But maybe someday I'll figure out what the hell I'm doing. How about that? Okay. Because I am technically early, I'm just going to rant for a minute. Well, for most of us, not really important news. Ukraine is still fighting, and good for them. They should be fighting to literally the last man in the last round, because they're going to end up fighting to the last man into the last round. Love you, Susan. By the way, this is kind of a soft call out. It's been said that it doesn't make sense that Russia is using hypersonic weapons, their most advanced weapons, if the Ukrainians are doing so good, or are doing so badly and need so much help. Well, the reality is, yeah, two things that seemingly diametrically opposed can be true at the same time. Both sides can be losing the war at the same time. I don't understand how this is such a complicated concept. The Ukrainians are fighting, and they're fighting very, very well, or at least very, very hard, and costing Russia way too much to accomplish the mission, but they can't keep it up because they don't have that kind of capacity. How's that a complex concept? But whatever. Oh, I forgot something. Now, guys, you know I'm going to curate anybody that comes in here, right? So don't try pissing me off with some shit poster walking in. Ha. There we go. I'm going to pin that. I want to apologize that I'm going to have to bail out for about 2-3 seconds at one point. The backup premiere did not upload overnight. I don't know what happened. I really don't. Well, actually, I do, but that's not the point here. Okay. It says one person is watching. I know who that is. Okay, good. And it is actually time, so we are actually going to start. All right. This is primarily a 2A channel, but everything affects everything, right? So, basically speaking, I'm diametrically opposed to anybody that Joe Biden would nominate to anything. And his track record so far has proven me right. He nominated a convicted terrorist, eco-terrorist, to be the head of the Department of Bureau of Land Management. somebody who's actually done time for tree spiking. That's murder in the first degree. Okay, that's good to know. And now he's nominated somebody for the Supreme Court. Day one of the hearings, and we're already starting to see the story collapse around the seams. She has a long, long history of letting pedophiles basically walk away free. No consequences, or very few consequences. I'm not even talking about the case that seems to have everybody reeing, where somebody who was underage when the crime occurred, somebody who was underage having sex with somebody else who was underage, and she basically let him walk. Okay, well, they were both underage at the time. Now, I'm sure there's more to that story that I didn't hear, but they were both underage. I can let that one go. I really can. I was 16 once. I was 19 once. All right, there, but for the grace of God went I too. Yeah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some really seriously fucked up shit that she just let go. That should not have been let go under any circumstances. I do not understand how this supposed human's mind, if you want to call it that, works, but apparently in her mind, it was okay. I don't want to use the kinds of words that describe the actual crimes committed, but we're not talking about one or two photos. We're talking about books and gigabytes. Gigabytes? Yeah. Of material. How do you let that walk? Well, to be perfectly blunt, I have a theory, and I cannot prove it. And I'm very cautious to say too much more on YouTube. But there's a way you let somebody like that walk away. Excuse me. I gotta stick my nose over on the other side. Okay. Oop. There we go. There's no way this individual should even be a judge of any sort. You know, being a defense attorney is, and that's what she was, is not an automatic bar to being a judge. It means you will view evidence with a slightly more skeptical eye, because you've had clients in the past who've said, I'm not guilty. They planted the drugs on me. They did this, they did that. And then you find out, yeah, that really did happen. And yes, there are bad cops out there. There are bad prosecutors out there. There are bad defense attorneys out there. Ask me how I know about all three. But it should be definitely something that everybody said, wait a second. You were a defense attorney, and now you want to take the people as your clients. We need to talk very long and hard. Be perfectly blunt. If it were up to me to be a criminal judge, you would have to basically have a probationary period. 2 years where everybody sits and reviews each and every ruling you make. and actually sits there and reads your ruling to make sure that your reasoning is logical and consistent. We don't do that. I don't know why. And that a judge can be dismissed on a single bad judgment. Be a little bit more complicated than that, but it is what you can't make it too complicated or nothing will ever get done. But yeah, just to catch these Brown Jacksons out there who are not ruling on law and evidence and merits, but are ruling on what they want to be true. Irony. I really, really hate Robert Barnes. All right. And I'm just going to admit that part. He's a smug, arrogant jackass. I also respect him. He is very intelligent. And, this is one of the things we agree on. Judges should not, getting the robes should not be a blank check to do whatever the fuck you want from that bench. Oh, excuse me. See, that's the reason why I will never be rich and famous. Because I drop the F-bombs and I belch and occasionally fart on camera. Moving right along. This individual cannot be allowed to become Supreme Court Justice. She shouldn't even be a district court justice. She really, really should be just a defense attorney and nothing more. Give me a second, guys. So, why are we even having this discussion? Most people don't realize that the child porn, sex slave, other slave, because not all slaves are sex slaves. A lot of them are sweatshop workers or farm workers. The drug smuggling and the gun smuggling communities are all pretty well intertwined. Now, everybody knows I hate Iran, and I hate Iran. So that's not a secret. Everybody knows I say that Iran is the source of all of this. That doesn't necessarily mean they're running all of everything. All right? Yes, they're into all of the above, and they're the biggest player because they're the only nation state that is fully backing it as long as it doesn't enter their borders or doesn't enter their borders outside the way they say it enters. They'll smuggle any drug to any country. They don't let it into their own country. They do smuggle slaves in. Hey, Burnaby. Where was I? All of these are tightly connected. They know or know of everybody in the larger industry. They all know each other to some degree. And all of them are at least tangentially connected to the same central hub of information and control and money. And Bernie, don't serve me. I'm enlisted. I can prove it. It's actually why I chose this one over the other one. And she's part of that larger network. What does that tell you? So, I don't even understand why we have to have this conversation. No. The fact that the vice president was so tied into that industry herself. Ask me how I know. And now she is his vice president, and we all know where his brain is, or isn't, more the point. It never really was, but anyway. And he's nominated her with Kamala whispering in his ear the whole time. There's nothing suspicious about that. Nothing at all. All right. This individual can never, ever be allowed to be even in front of the Supreme Court as an attorney of record, maybe as a defendant. That's about it. Kind of leads me into subject number 2. All right. So back around 2008 or so, I remember it was right around the time Barack was first elected. I literally accused Barack of treason. I'm pretty sure it was after the election. A former friend of mine said, how can it be treason if it's the official policy? Well, it's very simple. If you're the head of the organization, you can betray it right to the core. Okay. I'm going to go with a very simple to understand for anybody at least 20 years old. Example, Enron. Enron was an energy company that basically no longer exists because the official policy of the company was being set by the same people that were robbing the company blind. There's over 100,000 people who bounce payroll checks. Why? Because the leaders of the company took every last penny they could and ran. They were hiding deep, deep liabilities, money they really big money owed by the company, and calling them assets. I don't pretend to understand how that works, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie to everybody, but I am going to tell you that that's what they were doing, and their quarterly statements were looking great and wonderful and perfect for decades until it all came crashing down. And then the rats jumped ship as fast as they could. That same kind of economic theory was what Barack Obama was working on. And now Joe has leaned into that so hard that you can't actually, he's dented the metal, as it were. Flag on the plate. I hate the entire current crop of Democrats. Just all of them. Right? Because they forced everybody who was capable of rational thought and intellectual curiosity out. Most of them were the blue dogs, and okay, that's fine. I don't entirely agree with the blue dogs either, but it is what it is. But they forced anybody who was not a full-on progressive literally out. They're all gone now. You know, you think as much as I pick on the DNC that I must be one particular way. No, it didn't load up properly, so I have that little bit of a problem. But we've been here before. For those of you that remember the Gingrich years, the right wing Republicans did the same thing back then that the progressive Dems are doing now. And how did that work out for them? Pete Wilson, who was the governor of California at one time, I prayed would never, ever even run for president. And fortunately for all of us, he didn't get the chance. Like on the play YouTube, I am about to speak ill of the dead. It doesn't mean I wished it. He died of apparently natural causes. I don't even remember what they were. Before he had a chance to run for president. And thank God for that. If he had become president, he would have done exactly the same kind of damage that Joe is doing now. Probably worse damage at this point, but Joe's got so much more potential. And unfortunately for Joe, Pete was much better at hiding the damage. He was better than Enron was at hiding the damage. Yes. Okay, great. Matter of fact, that's important enough. I gotta make that big. Bernie Sanchez says, remember when Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac fell apart? The bottom fell out of the market and money wasn't there because it was all BS. Yeah. Matter of fact, that little throwback to remember when. I remember this is 2000. It was summer, so I'm going to say summer 2007. I was at my desk reading somebody else's newspaper because I would have 2 hours to kill until anybody walked in the door. So I'd read the paper. I put it all back together and hand it over. No big deal. I read this little sidebar article in the what the hell was it? Not economic section. The market section that said something about the two Chinese and one Japanese, or one Chinese and two Japanese, I can't remember which, markets bottomed out on fears of what the American economy was doing. That's it. Everything looked great. I actually looked across the street. I could see this beautiful apartment complex going up. Well, I don't know. I assume it was beautiful because it was new. I remember looking across it and watching this go up for a few months at this point and thinking somebody sunk all that money and this is going to all end in tears. You know what? I can't remember exactly what I thought, but I remember thinking something to the effect of, that's a disaster for somebody, and it wasn't me. I remember thinking, you know what? I should consider voting for a Democrat this year. I should really think about that. Well, then the Democrat nominee came out, and there's no way I would have ever voted for that individual. All I had to do was see his early talking points to know it's not going to happen. Come back to that in a second. And sure enough, as Bernie pointed out, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, yeah, came along, and these objectively bad home loans. These are people that can never pay these loans. They were lent all this money. They're defaulting. The houses that they bought that were beautiful and perfect when they bought them are now worth less than half of what they were when it was bought, because the overall housing market had collapsed, and more importantly, B, they hadn't been taking care of these homes. So one of the problems with tiny home advocates is they keep thinking you build it and they'll live in it and everything will be beautiful. And no, these are people who can't take care of themselves. Generally speaking, homeless people just can't take care of themselves. That's the truth. I know. I've been there, I've done that. So the ability to take care of myself is part of the reason why I was able to get out of that. Which would be a rant about pod home. If I had the time today, I might. We'll see. Either way, it's always a disaster. These homes were destroyed, so they're not worth as much objectively as they were when these people moved in. They've defaulted on the loan. All that money's gone. That money's... You might as well have burned it in a 50-gallon oil drum. Been better off to have burned it in a 50-gallon oil drum. And right now, they think somehow mysteriously we'll just print more money, because that always helps the economy, like Bernie says. Okay, I'm going to be talking about this later. Shit. Let me do something real quick. Silly Carrie forgot to cover up the name. God damn it, Carrie, can't you do anything right? There we go. Y'all know I prefer not to use to show companies per se, because they may not want to be associated with me, and I gotta accept that. So the name is now covered up. This is a toolkit. Let's try that again. There we go. This is a toolkit, and if I recall correctly, it was about $10. Unfortunately, I removed the price tag because it's intended as a gift. There are, well, let's say 500,000 of these out there. There we go. They are worth $10. You flood the market with these, they won't be worth $10. They'll be too common. They'll be $9. Okay, well, if it costs $8 to collect the materials, manufacture it, and ship it, the company will still make money. But if it cost $9 to collect the materials, manufacture it, and ship it, the company's actually losing money in the real world. Scarcity influences value. It is as simple as that. Now this, you don't need this. You don't necessarily need this. But you would need something, as I will be talking about later. If you make it too common, it's not worth anything. And it becomes worth increasingly less the more common it is. And that's part of the problem. This idea about printing more money somehow will mysteriously solve everything. It's not how the world works there, bud. I'm not sure what the cover-up is, Bernie, so work with me here. Okay. Oh, that. Yes. Bernie's making fun of the fact that whenever I can, I cover up the name of a manufacturer because they may really want to not be associated with me. Okay. This is about a year ago. There still is a company out there with a product that I was very excited to have finally found. A 357 submachine gun. I know they exist. There's a case out of New Jersey where the mob was making 357 Uzis chambered in 357. They were making it for their own use, apparently, and they got busted. They got busted bad. Pro tip: if you're running a clandestine gun factory out of an auto parts factory, don't lay off all your employees and then be running 24/7. Okay. But beyond that, I finally found a legitimate manufacturer. I reached out to them and said, hey, I'd really like to talk about your product. And they said, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. And we will give you money to do it too. I said, no, I can't take your money because that would open the door for Susan or Shannon to accuse me of shilling for the gun companies, and no, I don't want to go there. So I didn't take their money. Fix jumped in and pointed out that he was offered money and he turned it down. Okay, so it's true. What am I supposed to say? Well, they emailed me and said that they were going to sue me for false and defamatory statements. And I said, oh, have a nice day. That posting, by the way, was removed. They got what they wanted. They wanted the false and defamatory statements removed. Well, okay, throw everything out and be done with it. Just like that. It's so much easier that way. I also saved those emails to the evidence file just in case something comes up later on. What I learned from that is be very, very careful about naming names. I can talk about there being a 357 submachine gun after having been called a liar for 5 years, but I won't talk about the company. I won't talk about the specific brand or model. If somebody who asked me to talk about their product turns around and accuses me of false and defamatory statements, threatens to sue me, what would somebody who doesn't have a working agreement with me say? I have a nominal working agreement with a body armor company, but having been burned by the that gun company, that I had a working agreement with, that they threatened to sue me for saying exactly what we agreed I would say. I won't talk about the body armor company either until I know that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And Mr. J is probably sitting at his desk, in Texas, saying, when is Carrie going to get back to me? Well, I'm not going to get back to him until I've met certain requirements that I set for myself to the tune of about $1,000. A very simple shipping error. And it was a simple shipping error is the reason why I have to fix the problem to the tune of $1,000. Okay, Bernie says, right now the price of diesel is going to drive up the cost of everything. That's true. I'll come back to that in a minute if you remind me. Don't be surprised when stuff disappears from the stores. Disappears outright like it did in February, March, and April 2020? Probably not. But when those once overflowing shelves are kind of getting thin and there's no overstocks at the top of the shelves, don't be terribly shocked. It won't be cost effective to stock certain items. Yeah, actually, that's already true. Believe it or not, Walmart loses a couple $1 million a year from stocking inventory that they know will never sell. The parent company of this one, all right, manufactures thousands of products. Walmart stocks them, but they sell so slowly that it's effectively never selling. Anyway, and they keep that inventory there because they know that you might walk in to grab one, and if it's not there, you're going to go somewhere else and you're going to stay there forever. More to the point, Walmart has their own brand. This is not some sort of top secret corporate information, so bite me. They have their Great Value brand. Their grocery brand is Great Value. Okay. And they stock milk. And my God, do they go through so much Great Value milk. They also will stock at least one of the big name brands. Like, is it Crystal? I think it's Crystal. Okay. They go through a good amount of that. And then down at the bottom shelf, they have the off-brand. That the Section 8, I think it's Section 8 recipients have to take first. If that runs out, then you can grab for the Great Value. And if that runs out, then you can grab for the Crystal. Right. That never moves. When I was working at Walmart, I actually had to remove a couple dozen jugs one day because not a single one had sold. Not just that day, but the day before. I didn't even realize until I started. What happened? I had stocked everything else, and here's the off-brand. And the only thing stopping me from clearing this entire side of the compartment, having every last crate empty and ready to ship back out, was the off-brand. What the hell's going on here? So I went and I checked, and holy shit, this milk was supposed to be sold 2 days ago. Fuck. What do I do now? Well, I went and got the floor manager, I think was his title, and I asked him, what do I do now? I can pull them out, no problem. What do you want me to do with them then? He said, okay, pull them out, put it over the pallet and those crates over by the door so we can get them out first, and then restock them. 20 minutes later, everything was done. They probably lost $2,000-$3,000 just that store, just that day. They're going to stop stocking those at all when that shit hits the fan and becomes, $8 a gallon to bring in the off-brand. And that's, store-wide, you'll find examples of that. Same store, before I was an employee, I went in looking for a holster. All right. They're not going to stock holsters because they don't move enough to justify the space it takes up. Remember, every cubic inch of that building they are paying for, they need to get that money back. That's why it always amazes me. They've got these, 30, 40 foot overheads. They could literally put a second deck in here, and they don't. Okay. Bernie is saying that they don't lose money because the suppliers, vendors, don't get paid for 90 days, and then they return stuff that's damaged back to you or expired or whatever it is. Did not sell. In general, I was not aware of the 90-day thing. I do know that if it does not sell, and this is not just Walmart, this is all companies except a few very, very select types of stores, and I know porn shops is the top of that list. If it does not sell, they return it to the supplier, the vendor, and then they get a refund on it. Back in the 80s, maybe it was the 90s, there was a store near where I grew up, and they didn't sell porn. So this is kind of a strange thing. It's a little trail that goes behind the store, and we found this pile of porn mags. I swear to God, it was about yay tall. And the covers had been ripped off of each and every one of them. Now, of course, being a teenager, right? I'm checking it out, but I also noticed somewhere in there it said, if this magazine, I think, is missing its front cover, be aware that it may be stolen. Ooh. Now, I didn't care. I kept looking at it, but they were all stripped of their covers. Yeah, okay, so Bernie's saying that about 25% of what he delivered was sent back, and yeah, I believe you. That sounds high for the dairy case at the store where I worked. 25% per day? Sounds extremely high. But I'm also a long way away from a position to call Bernie out on that, because usually when I walked in, the shelves were a little on the thin side, because I'd moved to a very hot and humid environment from a very cold and humid environment. That dairy case did not scare me at all. I spent my whole 8 hours, if I could, hiding back there, loading and loading and loading. It was absolutely incredible. They could go from dead bare shelves to overflowing or damn near overflowing in 8 hours because of me. Because everybody else was afraid of the dairy case. I was afraid of the freezer. That dairy case did not impress me at all. I'm not going to say I was arrogant and contemptuous, but it didn't impress me. I think Texas, but worse. That's where I moved to, and I moved there from Oregon with a significant layover in California to try to thaw out. That was the year I went to Wasteland Weekend. All right, so back to the topic that I should be on, economic treason. Joe is going out of his way, or let me rephrase that. Joe's competency has been in some degree of doubt since around 1981. And I'm saying this as somebody who at the time said, okay, let's try this thing and see what happens. And if the gun control community is right and banning the guns solves the problem, we'll know in about 10 years, won't we? And I was prepared to accept that the answer might be yes. It does solve the problem. As simple as that. It didn't solve the problem. Quite clearly. Did not solve the problem at all. And worse still, it's made the problem worse because that black market exploded. This was the era of Operation Dragon, something like that, when the FBI ran a sting. Oh, excuse me, with Chinese defense contractors who were asked to smuggle a tank into the country. Yeah, wait, what? They were going to smuggle a tank? This is also the era of Leonid Feinberg, aka Tarzan, the Russian mafia connected individual to whom the FBI ran a sting that almost netted them a Russian submarine. In an interview, Tarzan is saying, he tells me they want submarine. I don't think that's going to happen. I asked my contacts in Russia, and they get back to me a couple of days later and say, with or without missiles. Whoa, wait. With or without missiles. That part of the quote I know is exactly correct. Because with or without missiles, dude, that's terrifying. That's terrifying to even think that question needed to be asked. I can see a lot of utility in a Russian submarine or any submarine for smuggling. That was the original idea for the German U-boat to get past the Allied blockade in World War I. When that plan wasn't working out, the submarines were converted to combat service, and they've suddenly found a real niche to fill. So much so that if Hitler had focused strictly on the Type 8, I think it was, submarines, and just pounded those out as fast as they were bullets on the Eastern Front, which they could have done, by the way, nothing would have gotten into England, and that war would have ended with a total Nazi control of Europe, and probably Nazi control of at least Western Russia. Yes, I'm well aware of the mistakes at Stalingrad and Leningrad, and I forget the other one. Doesn't matter. Big mistakes. They could have bounced back from that big time. And because the Second Front got opened up, that's why the whole thing collapsed. You can't fight a war on two fronts at the same time. Love you, Susan. This cartridge is dead. Thought it felt weird. Okay. So yes, not only is it possible, but considering bare minimum, considering the people that Joe has around him, is undeniably true. They are committing economic treason, and they're getting away with it, and they're getting protected for it. And on an almost related note, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, so the backup premiere is supposed to go up in about 15 minutes, and it still has 2 minutes left to upload. Okay. It's still visibility pending. Oops, wrong tab. I do that a lot. So for those of you that were expecting to see the premiere, I'm sorry, Carrie screwed up. I let my screen go too steady for too long, and it shut down. Oops. All right. I might be wrapping today up a little bit on the early side because I only got so much to talk about. Right. Get Home Bag. Actually, I'm not going to be talking about Get Home Bag specifically today. Oops. I am going to be talking about an everyday carry. Multi-tool. Okay. If you look at the thumbnail for the morning streams, you'll notice. Let me get it lined up correctly. See those slight deformations? Yeah, I think that's the right side. See those slight deformations in the rubber? Yeah, this is actually the one from the thumbnail. The absolute everyday carry item. Multi-tool. Yes, water is absolutely critical, but do I need to carry the water bottle around all day, every day. No. I don't need to carry the water bottle around all day, every day. Good luck ever finding me in public without my multi-tool. It doesn't happen. I carry this thing around more than I do my gun. I carry it around the house. I carry it around in public. I carry it around when I'm tooling around up on the roof. Hell, I can even sleep with it on at this point. I don't, but it's always within reach at night. So is my gun, so that tells you a lot right there. But the point is, literally the only place I don't carry that, I carried it into government buildings and secured buildings. The only place I don't carry it is into airports if I'm actually going to get on a plane. If I go through airport security, then I check it in on my bag. Other than that, no. It's literally with me all the time. Hell, I carry it around more than I do clothes. Damn. That's it for the coffee. And I didn't make tea this morning. All right. You may be working on a budget. You may be working with limited circumstances and resources. Maybe a lot of things. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the company name. Hey, Luke. Good. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the company name, and Luke should know this one. This is a 3-piece multi-tool, knife, and flashlight set. You can pick it up at truck stops. Usually, that's the only place I've ever found them is truck stops, and it's a good little starter kit. All right. My professional opinion is the flashlight is garbage. I wish that they would have this kit with just the knife and the multi-tool. Because the knife is actually really good. I like the knife. It's a strictly utilitarian tool. But even as a strictly utilitarian tool, it's a good knife. The multi-tool is not the best, but I have 3 of them lying around somewhere. I know one is in my sewing kit. I leave it there for that reason. And I have 2 others that are bagged up for other use. Okay, Luke says, yeah, these are the cheap ones. Spend the money on a good set that will last. Well, yeah. This or those is fine here, Luke. And we don't care too much about punctuation, spelling, grammar, as long as we can understand what you meant. And he's right. This is the cheap set. It's a good starter set. Those red backpacks that you can get at Home Depot and Lowe's and Walmart and I forget the other place I've seen them. 1 man, 1 day, 1 man, 3 day, 3 man, 3 day, etc., etc., etc. Emergency kits. That's a great starter kit. But you need to work on it. You need to build it up a whole lot. This monstrosity back here. Hey, guys, give me a name for my bag. I'll pick the one I dislike the least. And don't pick on each other. Okay, moving right along. Anyway, this monstrosity back here, I only really got it because the big bag shoulder strap started to break. Shit! That means it's too heavy. I knew that. I was okay with it. I knew I was going to have to do that eventually. I just was hoping I could continue to use it for the prop purpose. Because my real bag, give me a second. My real bag is almost as big as this smaller piece here. All red, that's not bad. That's not bad. I want to see what other options I can get. But by the way, YouTube, I was just moving it out of the way so I could show the bag. It's actually clipped to the bag. And that clip is really hard to get off. It's going to take me a couple minutes after the stream to put it back on. Anyway, or to take it back off so I can put it back in the car. Ugh. All right. Gulch, I'll get back to you in a second. All right, we'll get back to you in a second. So those red bags you get at Walmart, etc. They're good starter kits. Just like this is a good starter kit if you can't find what you're really looking for. One of the few times I'm going to break the corporate name rule. My multi-tool is a Gerber. My first one was a Gerber that was given to me by Papa Carey. My second one was the exact same model. It was given to me by my first chief at Acacia. So I had two of them. Gerber was great. It was awesome. Then they got bought out by Fiskars and turned into a pile of shit for about 5 years. I walked away and I swore I was never going back. And Papa Carey says, son, I want you to try this one. Okay. It's not what I was used to, I know. But it was actually pretty good. It was well made. It was solid. And I thought, okay, Gerber's back. Good for them. All right. On a specifically to a question, Alpine Gulch asked, hi, what do you think of those flashlights that burn through anything like a laser? Pick one, flashlight or laser. It's really that simple. Yeah, I'm not familiar with one that burns through anything like a laser, but I'm well aware of I believe it's a production line model. Well, it is a production line model. They can burn right through paper like it's almost like it's not there. Hey, Squatch. I wasn't sleeping. Okay. Well, it's winter. You should be hibernating. Right. It burns through paper like it's not even there. I've seen the video demonstration. It lit a pack of matches. Holy shit, did it light that pack of matches. So yeah, that's a very, very powerful flashlight. It's a little too powerful to carry for a flashlight. If you're going to have a flashlight, have a flashlight. If you're going to have a laser, have a laser. And if you're going to carry a laser to be in compliance with mandatory carry, have one that can actually do some damage to people. Right? Can kill somebody. Let me put that where it really is. Take a shot. Right now, the production lasers that are out there are either too big and heavy, power plant is too heavy, batteries are too big and heavy, or they're too weak. to kill somebody. Hurt them? Yeah. I'm sure it could create a great degree of pain and maybe some injury, but not enough to stop them from what they're doing unless you happen to get them in the eyes. To the best of my personal knowledge, they're not even powerful enough to permanently damage eyes, but it is enough to blind them long enough for you to beat the hell out of them. That's about it. When lasers do get to the standard that they could be used as a self-defense, a legitimate self-defense option, by all means, don't let me stop you. Don't let me slow you down, and let me see if I can get you a coupon code. I'm not even joking. I will do it. It's got to get to that standard first. I'm sorry, it is that simple. Okay. So Gulch has clarified something. Yeah, a lot of things are advertised as other things. I know for a fact that there is a brand of armor penetrator rounds that are being advertised just as steel core because it gets around the ban on armor penetrator rounds. And it is what it is. I know what it is. All right, let's just leave it at that. And yeah. But anyway, Gulch is also asking, should I buy one while they are still legal? I don't know. I know they're powerful enough to get paper to burn, but they're not powerful enough to kill people. So unless you want it for the just pure novelty value or the investment value, yes. If you want it as a self-defense option, I would really hold off. I think for about 10 years. That's the projected trajectory on my side of the screen. Squatch would not allow the flashlight in his gear. It's dangerous. Well, it's not that dangerous. It's not that dangerous. You know what's dangerous is those forearm dart launcher things. More dangerous to you than they are to the guy you pointed at because they don't have any power. They have no power at all. And as you're loading it, if you're not careful, you might shoot yourself. Hi, Phil. Okay. So, all right, get home bag. Have a multi-tool. And if you can spare, if you can spare one, because like from this kit and the knife both went into the real get home bag, not that one. But okay, Alpine, I have more faith in you than that, honey. Moving right along. Right. Get a multi-tool for your everyday carry, and if you can get a couple spares, toss them in your get home bag in case something happens. You know, here's a crazy one, and it just happened last night. Tornadoes ripped through Alabama, Louisiana, and part of Texas. Okay. That happened. It's as simple as that. If you were sitting at your desk when this tornado came out of nowhere, and they do that sometimes, people will say, that looks like tornado weather to me. But then they go on about their life because maybe the tornado doesn't form. And then 5 minutes later, there it is. Well, 2 minutes later, you were on the shitter, right? Your multi-tool, you left it at your desk, or maybe you dropped it as you were running away, pulling your pants up, trying to get out of the building. Now you have the spare. Maybe you broke it while you were trying to dig your way out of the ruined head to get to your desk, to grab your bag. And these things happen. Now you have the spare. Yeah, I know I'm talking about some questionably plausible scenarios. I'm okay with that. First of all, Bill, they're called blocks, and taking tests on rigging blocks? I don't quite understand, but okay. And by the way, Bill, to bring it all the way up to the top, or to the shortest possible, is called 2-block, because you've brought 2 blocks together. I know you don't really care that much, but I thought I'd throw that one out there. Okay. Actually, if you could send me that link, I'd love to check it out. Hopefully, it'll be a good thing. Moving right along. Okay. A little bit about my philosophy here. And I realized this morning as I was doing the last few things to get ready. My philosophy on the Get Home Back is reflected in the film Apollo 13. Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, the film accurately and responsibly depicts the events of the actual Apollo 13 mission. So I'm going to assume that this part actually happens. They're making their circuit of the moon, and the 2 astronauts are looking out the window just entranced. It's so close. They could touch it. And Lovell says, "Gentlemen, what are your intentions?" They turn around. "What?" "I intend to get home." Oh, and that snaps them out of it. And they get busy putting things together so that they can get home, and not so that they can get to that moon. They put the moon out of their mind right now. This is a lifeboat, and we got to get home. Yes, riggers are very much a thing. I was a bosun's mate. I should be able to pass that certification test in my sleep. Might just do it for lulls. That is my core philosophy. Now, once you get home, once you're on the ground, you can do all the things you want to do. My intentions are to get home to where my body armor and my rifle are, right? And this one, because this one's packed more for something a little bit more than just getting home. Once you start digging in and you find out what I really have in there. you'll find, yeah, Carrie wasn't just talking about getting home with the big bag. But I've got to get home first because I can't carry this thing. This thing weighs a ton. I swear to God. Between this and my rifle and my body armor, just the way they are, not adding anything, it weighs a ton. I don't like it, and I don't even have a helmet yet. Well, I have a construction helmet, but I don't have a combat helmet yet. That's gonna suck. Squatch, I don't know how to tell you this, but the weather doesn't give a fuck about your opinion, and it will do what it's going to do. Just saying. Guys, I know Squatch is just fucking with us here. All right. There's a reason why he was the second wrench. The reason why he was the second wrench and not the first one is because, oh, I'm sorry, third. Because Mitakayo got the first one, Fix got the second one, and Betty got it before she was even in a stream, so it wasn't that hard. Fix, I couldn't figure out how to give her the wrench. Love you, Susan. All right. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. There is not going to be an afternoon stream because this is a third Wednesday of the month. And is there a fifth Thursday this month? I think there was. No. Okay. Well, some months there will be a fifth. Excuse me. Fifth Sunday or Thursday in the month. There won't be one then either. It's just easier to go back and forth like that. Catching up on chat, guys. Is that Los Angeles or Louisiana, Bernie? Not just idly asking. Okay. And Ville is talking about Chattanooga, which would be Tennessee, but it's a corporation. And I've heard them as far west as it Wyoming or Utah. I think it was Utah. So that doesn't tell me much. Hey, Foss. Oh, so you were the second one. Don't lurk, guys. I'm not the first to say this. It's kind of, StreamYard is telling me I have 5 watching. I'm sure YouTube tells me I've got 2 watching. Trust StreamYard's word over YouTube's hands down twice a day. But it's kind of creepy not knowing who's watching you, especially since I know there's a couple of people watching me at least intermittently. And don't tell me that's not happening. I still have some friends over at the bathtub, like 2 of them, 1, who tell me things. Matter of fact, there's one person who does not tell me things about the bathtub because I told him not to tell me because I know that everybody would pick him in a heartbeat, and it's no, it's not him. So you can back the fuck off of him. It's not quite safe to name the name yet. Louisiana. Okay. Bernie, email me. I might have some questions for you. Moving right along. All right. So I think I'm going to do about 15, maybe 20 minutes on a very touchy subject in the 2A community. It's actually touchy in the gun control community too. But it's not as touchy in the one as it is the other. Dadislav has a, and I'm hesitant to use the fighting words, but it does have something analogous, similar, conceptually like red flag laws. All right. We all know somebody that under no circumstances at all in their life should be allowed to have guns, to look at guns, to even be in a museum where there are guns, because they're either criminally irresponsible or they're insane or something else that, for God's sakes, no. Just no. Right? Unfortunately, I can tell you I have two cousins like that. And yeah. One has a very, very long criminal history. And when you ask him why he does some of the shit he does, he will tell you, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. He stole a moped once because it seemed like a good idea at the time. He didn't want to walk anymore, right? And then you wonder why you go back to jail. At least he's cognizant enough to not try that shit. I know exactly why I went to jail. Because I stole a moped. Okay. Okay. Great. At least you understood why you went to jail. I have another one who sees people that are not there and hears voices that are not real. He's very cognizant of this fact. He has a way to check to see if the person that he's seeing is real. And if he doesn't see a person, if he can't put a face with the voice, okay, that voice is not real. Don't listen to him. That person is not real. Don't listen to him. He has a way to check to see if that person is real. So, good. Those two are reasonably well set. They should not be allowed to have a gun. I think we can all agree to this. Caucasian Sasquatch obviously has one of those people in his life. And no, you don't shoot somebody with a slingshot by accident. Well, and maybe if his aim sucks that bad. But either way. All right. I'll take it for what Squatch says, that it was a legitimate accident. Here's the big difference. In the 2A community is absolutely no red flag laws. Don't even talk about the subject. The gun control community is like, well, we need red flag laws. But about that, And at least the 2A gun or the gun control community is saying is able to say the same kind of red flag laws that we use to take somebody's guns can be used against us later on for other things because there's no accountability. There's none. No accountability at all. There's no due process. None. The moment I'm going to pick on Squatch right now. Squatch could walk into his local police department, not that he would, because he doesn't get along with them very well. He doesn't get along with them at all. But he could walk into his local police department and say, hey, there's this crazy guy on YouTube. He keeps talking about guns, guns, guns. He said once, guns, guns, guns. My life would be so boring without them. And he's going to go and do a pulse one day. Do a pulse mass shooting. I mean, it's not like I haven't used homophobic slurs like faggot in the past. Oh. Yeah. I'm a little bit tougher than you people. I can be called faggot to my face. I'll call myself a faggot to my face. Wait, what? The first time it happens, it's always shocking. After that, you're like, yeah, I'm over it. You should see what else I've been called to my face. And the shocking part is that was on Twitter. The public one was on Twitter, and Twitter did nothing about it for 3 years. Fuck you, Jack Dorsey, you lion. Okay, let's move on. So yeah, Squatch would walk into the police department and say, this guy's crazy, he's going to do a pulse. You gotta stop him. And the way red flag laws are written now, the police department doesn't have a choice. They got to come talk to me. Bare minimum. They got to come talk to me and find out what the hell's going on. In at least 20 states, they don't have a choice. They've got to come find me, take the guns, and walk out that door. Even if everything else is bad, in at least one state, they literally can only walk in and take the guns and walk out. They want anything else, they got to go talk to a judge. Meanwhile, I'm burning the other evidence. It is what it is. Right? The contested exemptions was as close to a proper red flag law as I'm comfortable with getting. And what that is, I'm going to pick on Squatch here again. He goes into his police department. He says, hey, this guy's talking about mass shootings and guns. My life would be so boring without them. And all this other crazy shit. You got to stop him. Okay, well, police department can't do much. Let us assume, for the sake of argument, if nothing else, that Squatch was my cousin. He knows me, or my next door neighbor, or both. He's my next door neighbor and my cousin. Great. Now he can walk into a courthouse or a district attorney's office and say, my cousin, my next door neighbor, his name is Mandatory Carey. He lives at 1255 Hunter Bus. I think that's the line. And he's constantly talking about mass shootings and making homophobic slurs, and you got to do something. The district attorney can then turn to the court and say, Your Honor, we're asking for a mandatory exemption, Part F. G. E, F. A Part F exemption. Okay, what is your grounds? Well, this gentleman, Mr. Sasquatch, walked in and he told us this information. And okay, bring Mr. Carey in. Mr. Carey, we need you to come in. We need to talk to you. The judge is saying, we need you. The judge is saying, I need you to come in. I need to talk to you. Don't make me get a warrant for your arrest for contempt of court. Come down here and talk to me. I'll walk in. It's yes. Yes, Your Honor. I do talk about mass shootings, and I have talked about Pulse nightclub quite a bit. You're right. I'm talking about that being an example of why everybody should be required to carry a gun unless they meet one of those four circumstances. Uh-huh. How much do you drink, Mr. Carey? About twice a month. I have about 2 beers a month now. That's a big change from 2 pitchers a night. Oh, okay, so you're not likely to be drunk. Do you hate gays and lesbians? No, Your Honor. I don't care about him one way or the other. Oh. Well, you make homophobic slurs all the time. Yeah. Yeah, I call myself everything you can possibly think of, Your Honor. I've been called them all. I used to them a long time ago. They don't bother me anymore. Okay. Do you know where the local gay bars are? No, Your Honor. Actually, I don't. Yeah, now that I think about it, I really only know where one gay bar anywhere is, and that would be Faces in Sacramento. And I've been in that building. It was okay. They have a pool out back. I didn't go out back, but you can see it through the window. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I do know where another gay bar is. Um, Outside of Eugene, Oregon, where I was working security for like 3 weeks, and a really nasty 3-way fight between some women over one of them calling another one's son retarded. That was insane. Other than that, Your Honor, no, I don't know where any are. I can't even tell you what city Pulse nightclub is in now. I can tell you it's in Florida, and it's northern Florida. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That's the best answer I can give you. Okay. Well, I recommend you watch your language, and I'm not going to suborn this mandatory exemption. Please go away. You're a disgusting human being. Okay, Your Honor. Thanks. Bye. On the other hand, maybe I do legitimately need to have my guns taken. That could happen. Okay, guys. Bernie Squatch, yes, there is legitimately accident-prone people. And I'm kind of leaning Bernie's way about your neighbor there, Squatch. He's, as you put it, negligent prone. And Bernie, don't shoot people with slingshots unless you really, really meant it. Moving right along. All right. I'm going to wrap this up a little bit on the early side today, guys. I am going to make a request of the community at large. All right. I know, beyond question or doubt, I know there are 2A channels and gun channels and everything else out there related to knives, other self-defense related channels and Facebook pages. Okay, you can skip past Twatter because I'm got Twatter Death Road back in 2016. Rather hypocritically there. Jack. Moving right along. What else? Yeah, basically anything, right? Drop them in a comment after the stream. Drop them in a comment on the backup premiere. Email them to me. I don't care. Let me know they're out there. If you think, well, if you know I know about it, you can go ahead and skip it. Like In Range TV and Forgotten Weapons, I know about them. They're on the list already. I mention them because I don't think either one of them actually likes me. They just tolerate me. That's a common theme. For my April Every Second Matters, if I can get a good list together, I'm going to go through and curate the list because there's a couple names that, and I'm not going to publicly shame them, but there's a couple names that won't be on that list under any circumstances. By the way, don't use the word. The kind of person that would lick this, okay? Don't use that word. Just saying. But I'm going to go through that list, and I'm going to see as many as I can find. This will serve two purposes. First of all, I'll have an April Every Second Matters, because I'm not really good. Apparently, it's every second with me. But anyway, second of all, you might be introducing me to somebody I've never even heard of. Had no clue existed. The worst case scenario is you introduce me to somebody I don't like. Okay, well, that's a name to watch out for. That's it. And I will not publicly shame anybody unless they really, really force me to. And I mean, they call me out and say, mandatory carry is an asshole. And here's why. You call me an asshole, I don't give a shit. I am an asshole. Right? I'm not in much of a position to judge you for that. But if you call me an asshole and say he's arming terrorists or some crazy shit like that, I might have to call you out right back, bro. Okay. Catching up on the chat. Squatch? What? Okay. Up on Gulch, I'm part of the treasure hunt in grizzly bear country community. If you can find a connection between the two, I'll take it. No, I'm serious. And I've got something in mind, but it's a state by state thing. In Hawaii, the treasure hunt in grizzly bear country community would not qualify because there are certain things that are not legal in Hawaii. That law would be moot once Stanislav passes. That reminds me, I'm not sure if we're at 22 or 23. Constitutional carry states now. I want to point something out. Mandatory carry has always been constitutional amendment concept. Oh yeah, you can make that connection. Has always been a constitutional amendment concept. 34 states would have to ratify this amendment. Nominally, the 26th Amendment that would repeal the current Second Amendment and replace it with the actually an original draft of the Second Amendment, which said uh, that the people shall keep and bear arms. Most people don't realize that. I didn't even know that myself until this channel had started by that point, and I'm pretty sure the full 30 channel had started by that point. No, the full 30 channel wasn't started. BitChute channel was. So sometime last year. No, it was the year before that. It was the year before that. 2019. I didn't know that myself. And then I found a reference to the original draft that was rejected because Pennsylvania wouldn't pass it, which meant the Quakers said no. Well, I'm pretty sure the other 12 states, if they had realized what the future held, would have told Pennsylvania to go themselves. I'll get to you in a second, ladies. So we're going to repeal the current Second Amendment. It's not working, right? It is too easily abused and manipulated, as Benjamin Franklin warned us, how easily men of evil intentions can manipulate plain language. Somebody correct me on the quote. I know I butchered that pretty badly. And replace it with the one that was proposed first, that said, shall be enforced. Okay, Alpine Gulch asks, what are you talking about? Hawaii and Wyoming and bears. There are bears in Hawaii. Yeah, bear repellent is illegal in Hawaii. I'm not entirely sure if pepper spray itself is legal. Maybe one of you Hawaiians can tell me. Violence's Life was asking, year before what? I was trying to remember what year it was that I found that original draft that said that was of the Second Amendment that said shall be carried or shall be born. And Bill is saying repealing it would be terrible. Or I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, Fix, I know. That's probably the boy anyway. Okay, so Bill is saying repealing it would be terrible. Amend it. Well, you can't really amend an amendment. You can only repeal it. But the amendment that I'm proposing would be the amendment itself, if it passes, automatically says this is now the Second Amendment. The old Second Amendment is hereby repealed. And oh yeah, by the way, the one basically is the other. The replacement and repealing is the same act. I'm sorry, Bill. You missed a bit. And there are no bears in Hawaii? I did not know that. There are bears in Massachusetts where I do know pepper spray was illegal. I mean, pepper spray, not bear repellent. And I know that was tested. I want to say the Supreme Court finally heard the case and said, no, Massachusetts, that's not the law. Yeah, you need to shut the fuck up and sit down. And all of a sudden, pepper spray was back in. So please, people, if you know at least 2A friendly channel, drop it in a comment after the stream. I really want to look at it. All right. Maybe I'll say no when all is said and done, but I at least want to take a look. All right. There's not going to be an afternoon stream today. Keep calm and tree carry on.